Barack Obama Biography, an incredible success story. When reviewing Barack Obama's biography, the first thing that comes to mind is that Barack Obama sat in the White House after going through more adversities than it is possible for a person to become the President of America. If you think about it a little, then the saying will not seem so exaggerated. He had no money, no family influence, no social prominence, not even 100% American. Apart from this, only wisdom, indomitable will and honesty can lead to the seat of highest power and honor. Obama has proved that. He was not born with a golden spoon in his mouth like the current American President Donald Trump. His own earned money was too little to run a presidential campaign. Unlike his predecessor George W. Bush, his father is not a former president of the United States. He had no kinship ties to the Kennedy or Clinton families. The story of Barack Obama winning the White House, the son of a Kenyan Muslim father who suffered from economic hardship and deprivation in a white-dominant society since childhood, therefore defies fiction. Even after being elected president, he has to deal with an economically and politically weakened country, along with a troubled world left by his predecessor. But how did Obama make this impossible step by step only with his talent, willpower, and honesty? Let us also find inspiration from Obama's biography. Barack Obama's life story at a glance. Born in 1961 in Honolulu, USA to a black Kenyan father and a white American mother, Barack Obama, Jr., was elected president of the Harvard Law Review while studying at Harvard University. After that, Barack Obama entered the White House as the first black president in the history of the United States, in addition to being elected as the 44th American president in the 2008 national election as a senator from the state of Illinois. Birth and childhood. As stated in the introduction, Barack Obama's life story is actually a great movie story. The story that begins right after birth. The story is full of dramatic twists and tear-jerking emotional scenes. The story of Obama's parents is no less varied. His mother, Ann Dunham, was born in an army camp in Kansas during World War II. After the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Ann's father Stanley Dunham joined the army and went to fight in Europe. Ann's mother, Madeline, worked in a bomb factory. After the war, Ann's parents were G.I. Bill, American government agency for the rehabilitation and training of ex-combatants, and bought a house with the help of a government rehabilitation scheme. After that, Obama's grandparents lived briefly here and there, eventually settling in Hawaii. Obama's father, Barack Obama Sr., was from the Luo tribe of Kenya's Nyanza province. He spent his childhood and youth grazing goats and sheep in the desert on the way to Africa. At one point, he received a scholarship and moved to Hawaii in the United States to pursue his dream of attending college. While studying at the University of Hawaii, Obama Sr. met classmate Ann Dunham, a beautiful white American. Ann and Barack Obama Sr. were married on February 2, 1961, and Barack Obama was born 6 months later on August 4 in Honolulu, Hawaii. Baby Obama had no chance to develop any kind of relationship with his father. Before Obama left home, his father moved to Massachusetts to pursue a PhD at Harvard. After a few months, Ann and Obama Sr. became socially separated and finally divorced in March 1964. Obama Jr. was only 2 years old. Obama Sr. returned to his native Kenya shortly after the split. In 1965, Ann Dunham married an Indonesian student at the University of Hawaii named Lolo Swatoro. After 1 year of that marriage, he left America with his family to live in Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. Maya Swatoro, Obama's half-sister, was born there in 1970. Within a year, due to some incidents, Ann Dunham became worried about the safety of her son's education and life in Indonesia. 10-year-old Barack was sent to Hawaii to live with his grandparents. Later, Ann herself returned to Hawaii with her daughter Maya. Father's sorrow. Absence of father in life was painful enough for Obama. After his parents separated, Obama saw his father only once, when Obama Sr. visited Hawaii briefly in 1971. Talking about his father, Obama said, "My father left heaven voluntarily, and nothing my mother or my grandparents could ever forget, in my mind." None of them could explain to me what my life would have been like if my father had been in my life. 10 years after visiting Hawaii in 1981, Obama Sr.'s life suffered a major disaster. He lost both his legs in a terrible road accident and became dependent on a wheelchair. His job is also gone. The following year, he again met with a road accident. This time he did not return alive. Obama Sr. died on November 24, 1982. His son was 21 years old. Education. While living with his grandparents, Obama attended the famous Punahou Academy in Hawaii. There he was praised as a good student as well as a good basketball player. In 1979, he passed out from the academy with excellent results. As one of only 3 black students attending the academy, he became aware of racism as well as a keen understanding of what it meant to be an African American. How difficult it was for him to reconcile his self-identity with his multiracial identity, he describes in his later writings. She wrote, "I noticed there was no one in the Christmas catalog that looked like me, and Santa Claus was a white man." He also wrote, "I, one day, went to the bathroom fully conscious and stood in front of the mirror to take a closer look at my daily reflection, thinking, maybe there is something wrong with me." After finishing high school, Obama studied at Occidental College in Los Angeles for 2 years. He then transferred to Columbia University in New York, where he earned a bachelor's degree in political science in 1983. After 2 years in the business world, he moved to Chicago and worked as a social worker for low-income people. Law, career and family. Barack Obama, who did not grow up in a religious environment, became a member of the Trinity Church while starting a career in law. During that time, he also visited his Kenyan relatives and visited the graves of his father and grandfather. In this context, Obama wrote, "I sat between 2 graves and cried for a long time. I was thinking about my American life, where life is divided into black and white. The sense of deprivation I witnessed as a child, the despair and hope I felt in Chicago, all are connected to these 2 pieces of land an ocean away." Returning from Kenya with a new attitude, Obama entered Harvard Law School in 1988. The following year he met Lawrence Tribe, professor of constitutional law. After speaking with Tribe, Obama was so impressed that Tribe accepted Obama's request to join his team as a research assistant. In an interview given to Frontline in 2012, Tribe said about Obama, "The better he, Obama, did at Harvard Law School, the more impressed people became with him. It was becoming clear that he would get what he wanted. But it was also clear that he wanted to work for people, to change the condition of society." The same year he joined Tribe, Obama joined the Chicago law firm of Sidley Austin as an assistant, and a young lawyer named Michelle Robinson was appointed as his advisor. Within a short time, love for each other developed between them. In February 1990, Obama became the first African American to be elected editor of the Harvard Law Review. He graduated from Harvard with a law degree in 1991 with a record of good results. After graduating from Harvard, Obama returned to Chicago and began working as a civil rights attorney. At that time, he also began teaching constitutional law at the University of Chicago as a part-time faculty member. There he was promoted from lecturer to professor at one point. He taught at the University of Chicago from 1992 to 2004. He directly assisted in the voter registration process during the 1992 election campaign of Bill Clinton. On October 3 that same year, Obama married Michelle Robinson and began living in Kenwood, south of Chicago. Their first daughter Malia was born in 1998 and Sasha in 2001. Entering Illinois politics. In 1995, Barack Obama published an autobiography titled Dreams from My Father, a story of race and inheritance. The book was well received by literary critics and has been translated into a total of 25 languages so far. A second edition of the book was published in 2004, and another children's edition came out that year. In 2006, Obama's audio version of the book, narrated in his own voice, won a Grammy Award for Best Recitation. After the publication of the book, Obama's name became known to the public and people outside the familiar circle began to recognize him. Also, his popularity among the common people was increasing day by day for being a lawyer in the field of public rights and for his social service work. In 1996, he ran for a Democratic Party seat in the Illinois State Senate and won. As a state senator, worked with both parties, Democrats and Republicans, to turn ethics into law. He also worked to develop healthcare projects and ensure primary education for underprivileged children during his tenure as a senator. He also arranged for loans from state funds to pay income tax to low-income workers. As a member of the Illinois State Senate, Obama worked with law enforcement officials to collect videotapes of interrogations and confessions in all major cases after several death row inmates were later exonerated. In 2000, he ran for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives against four-time incumbent Bobby Rush and was defeated. Then in 2002, he almost quietly began campaigning to raise funds to participate in the 2004 state Senate elections. With the help of political consultant David Axelrod, he began to investigate the possibility of winning a seat in the Senate. Obama was one of the first politicians to oppose George W. Bush's initiative to invade Iraq in the wake of 9/11 in 2001. In October 2002, while still a state senator, Obama directly opposed Bush's proposal to authorize the invasion of Iraq in a speech at Chicago's Federal Plaza, saying, "I'm not against logical fighting, I'm just against unnecessary war. My position is against the sick efforts of Richard Pearl, Paul Wolfowitz and another man in the big seat, who are actually retired soldiers sitting in the administration. They are trying to force their own philosophy on us. They have no concern about how many precious lives will be lost and how much suffering people will have to endure in doing so." However, despite the opposition of Obama and many other politicians, the then U.S. administration started the Iraq War in 2003. Barack Obama's career as a senator. Obama decided to run for Republican Peter Fitzgerald's vacant Senate seat after seeing good results in the initial polls. In 2004, he won the Democratic Party nomination with 52% of the vote, defeating billionaire businessman Blair Hull. That year, Grisham was invited to deliver a supplemental speech in support of John Kerry at the Democratic Party's annual national convention in Boston. Obama emphasized the need for unity in his speech and criticized the Bush administration in remarks. After returning from the convention, Obama returned to Illinois to prepare for the Senate election. He was scheduled to run against wealthy investment banker Jack Ryan for the Republican nomination in the general election, but in June 2004, Ryan withdrew from the race. In August 2004, former diplomat and presidential candidate Alan Case won the Republican Party nomination to replace Ryan. In 3 media debates, Obama and Case contrasted their positions on stem cell research, abortion, gun control, school vouchers, and tax breaks. 70% of Illinois voters backed Obama on the ballot in November's general election. Case's share was only 27%. This is the largest margin of victory in Illinois electoral history. And this victory made him only the third African American to be elected to the U.S. State Senate. After taking the oath of office on January 3, 2005, Obama worked with Republican Senator Richard Lugar of Indiana on a bill to strengthen the process of disarmament of weapons of mass destruction in Russia and Eastern Europe. Then another Republican Senator, Tom Carone of Oklahoma, created a website that would track all government spending. He also advocated for Hurricane Katrina victims, advocated for alternative fuels, and worked to increase benefits for veterans. His second book, The Audacity of Hope, Thoughts on Reclaiming the American Dream, was published in 2006. In this book, he discusses his philosophy about the future of the United States, many of which were later the subject of his presidential campaign speeches. Shortly after its publication, his book reached #1 on the New York Times and Amazon bestseller lists. 2008 presidential election. In February 2007, Obama made headlines when he announced that he was withdrawing from the race for the Democratic Party's nomination for next year's presidential election. His strongest opponent in the race for the nomination was former First Lady, and then Senator-elect from New York State, Hillary Clinton. In June 2008, Obama was nominated as the Democratic Party's presumptive nominee, and Hillary fully endorsed him. On November 4, 2008, Obama defeated Republican candidate John Kerry with 45.7% of the vote with 52.9% of the vote, becoming the 44th American president, and the first Black American president, opening a new chapter in history. On January 20 of the following year, Obama started the White House operation with Senator Joe Biden of Delaware, who supported him fully in the election process, as vice president. When Obama entered the White House as president, he came amid two ongoing foreign wars left by his predecessor Bush, an all-time low in international acceptance of the United States, and an ongoing global economic recession. He laid out an ambitious plan for the future, which included economic reforms, alternative fuels, and sweeping changes to education and health care, along with reducing the amount of public debt. He believed that all of these were related to the good of the people and the country, and all of them had to be implemented by his administration at the same time. In his inaugural address as president, Obama said about the current situation, "Today I want to tell you that the challenges we face are real. They are many in number and each one is difficult. It is not possible to solve them in a short time and easily, but know this, it will be resolved." First 100 days and Nobel Peace Prize. The next 100 days are considered very important after a U.S. president sits in the White House. According to many, these 100 days can be understood as how the president's rule is going to be. During these 100 days from taking office on April 29, 2009, the Obama administration embarked on several initiatives. Obama called on Congress to expand health insurance coverage for children and provide legal aid to women workers seeking equal pay. A $787 billion bill was passed in President Barack Obama's first 100 days to boost short-term fiscal stimulus. Within a year of this program, new job creation accelerated, and by 2010, nearly 3.7 million private sector jobs had been created in the U.S. market. Under a market-based plan, construction and credit markets were revived by buying up the unused assets of American banks. The Obama administration tried to stabilize the economy by passing new laws for Wall Street in addition to providing loans for auto factories. The Obama administration also offered tax breaks or reductions to working families, small businesses, and first-time homebuyers. The Obama administration began to move forward with a budget plan of $3.5 billion by relaxing the ban on embryo-based stem cell research, which had been banned until then. In addition to domestic affairs, U.S. President Obama undertook to reshape U.S. foreign policy as part of his first 100 days in office. In addition to taking steps to improve relations with Europe, China, and Russia, he invited directly hostile countries such as Iran, Venezuela, and Cuba to the negotiating table. He began working with the Allies for the purpose of global economic development. He hoped to deploy 21,000 additional troops to Afghanistan as well as withdraw nearly all troops from Iraq by August 2010. He also issued an almost dramatic order to attack pirates off the coast of Somalia, as well as asking the public to be fully prepared to deal with the swine flu epidemic. He signed an executive order banning cruel and inhumane interrogation procedures and set a one-year deadline to close Cuba's infamous Guantanamo Bay U.S. military prison, though it ultimately did not. Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009 for his efforts to close Guantanamo and his other philanthropic work. First-term work and achievements. In his first term, Obama took initiatives to double the production and use of alternative fuels. In 2009, he gave all government agencies a deadline of 2020 to reduce environmental pollution. Among these were directives to reduce gasoline consumption by 30% and improve water supply by 26%. In 2010, Obama became more popular with the general public by signing the Consumer Protection Act. Keeping in mind the millions of students at that time, he took initiatives to reduce the cost of education. That same year, Barack Obama signed the Budget Control Act of 2011 to rein in government spending and ensure fiscal accountability. Obama had trouble implementing his initiatives in the second half of his first term, but was mostly successful. The famous Obamacare is one of the projects that he had to get the most momentum to implement. He signed a plan to overhaul the healthcare system, despite fierce opposition from Republican members of Congress and the Tea Party movement. Through this, he established the Affordable Healthcare Law as a must. This law is called Obamacare. This act obliges all healthcare providers to provide free healthcare to any citizen below 26 years of age under their parents' health insurance. Also, the coverage of services available in health insurance has been greatly increased due to this law, and more citizens than ever before are covered by free healthcare. Opponents of the law claim that the implementation of the law will take up too much of the already overstretched national budget. Moreover, this law is also against the Constitution, because it says every citizen should have his own insurance. They also claim that the government actually wants to take over the healthcare business. Needless to say, most of these opponents saw healthcare as a means of generating business profits. Obama has had to overcome quite a lot of challenges from the economic side as well. In passing the Budget Control Act of 2011, he had to negotiate heavily with the Republicans who control the U.S. House of Representatives. Second-term president. Like in 2008, in the 2012 election campaign, he emphasized the pros and cons of the common man. A number of popular Hollywood stars lent a helping hand by participating in his campaign and fundraising. At a campaign rally in Maryland in June 2012, Obama said, "I assure you, we will move this country forward. We will finish what we started and remind the world once again why Americans are the greatest nation on earth." Obama's main opponent for a second term was Republican nominee Mitt Romney. In the November 6, 2012 election, Obama was elected to a second term by nearly 50 million more votes than Romney. Notable initiatives and achievements of the second term. On January 21, 2013, Obama officially began his second term. In his inaugural address, Obama called for public awareness of climate change and the right to health care. Obama passed a law raising taxes on wealthier owners in keeping with a campaign promise. This allows higher taxes to be levied on those earning $400,000 or more a year, and this money is used to cover government spending deficits. However, Obama had to overcome quite a bit of trouble to convince Republicans to make this bill a law. Obama's biggest domestic challenge was dealing with the April 15, 2013, terrorist bombings at the Boston Marathon. In this attack, 3 people were killed and 200 people were seriously injured. Speaking at a memorial service 3 days after the attack, Obama said, "Your country is with you. We will be with you. You will learn to stand up again. I have no doubt about that. Bostonians, you have shown us that Americans know how to bring out the good in the worst of times. We will show kindness in the face of cruelty." That same month, Obama's gun control efforts failed to win congressional approval. He advocated background checks on all purchasers of firearms, a ban on the sale of all types of firearms, and a ban on the sale of high-capacity magazines. After the bill failed and was withdrawn, Obama commented, "Today is a shameful day for Washington." By June of that year, danger descended upon Obama again. A joint international poll by CNN and ORC shows that his international approval rating has dropped significantly. The government tax agency is targeting conservative political organizations that have applied for tax exemptions, and the Obama administration is trying to cover up the killing of U.S. Ambassador Christopher Stevens and 3 other Americans in Libya. Allegations that Obama's international approval ratings are believed to have sunk so much was being done. Obama's approval rating had fallen to an 18-month low of 45%. Another reason for this decline in popularity, according to experts, was the new surveillance measures of the U.S. National Security Agency, NSA. However, Obama said the move had foiled about 50 sabotage attempts so far. In early July 2013, Obama made history once again by meeting with another former president, George W. Bush, in Africa. The purpose of the meeting was to mark the 15-year anniversary of al-Qaeda's first attack on an American facility. On this occasion, they visited the American embassies in Tanzania and Kenya together. The meeting marks the first time 2 U.S. presidents have met abroad to commemorate an attack. International challenges. In late August 2013, It was reported that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons on civilians in his country, killing more than 400 children and more than 1,000 innocent people. Obama condemned the actions of the Syrian authorities and said, "This is a grave threat to America and the region surrounding Syria. And Assad and Syria must face justice for this." In the wake of this incident, Obama began contacting Congress and the international community to garner support for an operation in Syria. But the international community and most members of Congress opposed the military operation. Later, on September 10, 2010, Obama announced to Bashar al-Assad, if Syria accepts Russia's chemical weapons disarmament agreement, no further U.S. attacks will be attempted. Later, Bashar al-Assad accepted Russia's offer. That same month, Obama sought a diplomatic solution to his country's problems with Iran. He spoke on the phone with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, the first direct conversation between the heads of state of the two countries in 30 years. According to many, that was an auspicious sign of the thawing of relations between the two countries. At a news conference after the talks, Obama expressed hope that there was a good chance that U.S. sanctions would be lifted if Iran halted its nuclear program. Obamacare and the domestic crisis. In October 2013, Obama ran into a major internal administration problem. The U.S. administration has been in limbo for 16 days amid disagreements over state budgets and disagreements with Republicans over the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. After striking a deal to resolve the situation, Obama expressed his frustration at the situation and the need for political reform in his weekly speech. "The way things are done in Washington needs to change. Now that the cloud of disaster has lifted, we need to think again about why the American people sent us here, to grow the economy, create good jobs, strengthen the middle class, build a better quality of life and technology, and in general make the nation's foundation strong and sustainable." To do that October, Obamacare ran into more trouble. The newly launched government healthcare website, healthcare.gov, fails to function properly. From the first week of launch, customers started facing various problems. The website needs the help of private organizations to solve the problems. Many also attacked Obama's new healthcare law, saying that it would cause many old health insurance holders to lose their insurance. Although Obama has repeatedly confirmed such an event is unlikely to happen. According to the Chicago Tribune, Obama insists that the insurance companies, not the law, are to blame for the problem. Obama had this to say, "Think about how, before the Affordable Care Act, super-profit insurers controlled how much care you could get each year. They used to deduct your premiums by billing huge amounts even for your routine minor health problems." At one point in an interview with NBC, Obama apologized to those who lost their insurance because of the new system, saying, "I'm very sorry that so many people have been put in this situation by relying on my words. We will definitely try our best to resolve this issue for them." Solving foreign problems. In late 2013, the Obama administration was once again challenged by foreign relations. In October 2013, the then German Chancellor, head of government, Angela Merkel, claimed that U.S. security agencies were tapping her mobile phone. "Spying on friends can never be acceptable," he told a conference of European leaders. In light of this incident, in November 2013, Obama's international acceptance rating went down even further. A CBS News poll found that only 37% of Americans think Obama is fit to serve as president, and 57% say he is not doing a good job. Obama had to take a lot of pressure as a result of Russia's annexation of Crimea the following year and a change in the internal politics of Ukraine. In addition, in 2014, Israel put the U.S. administration in more trouble by unjustly killing and torturing innocent people in Gaza, Palestine. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, continues to prepare a lawsuit against President Obama for alleged influence peddling in several cases. In August 2014, Obama ordered for the first time airstrikes against the Islamic State, or IS, a militant group that has seized parts of Iraq, Iran, and Syria. The following month, the U.S. Air Force began striking IS targets in Syria. However, Obama has repeatedly expressed his reluctance to send American troops to war. Several Arab countries also joined the U.S. in this campaign against IS. In his address to the nation regarding this operation, Obama said, "Killers understand only one language, and that is the language of power. That is why the United States, together with its allies, will destroy this murderous gang." Post-2014 Senate election status. In the 2014 U.S. Senate elections, the opposition Republican Party won the majority of the Senate seats, so Obama faced another challenge. As a Democrat president, he saw Republicans hold both houses of Congress. He had to work in this condition for the last 2 years of the second term. But Obama's subsequent activities have been done in his own way. A prisoner swap to improve relations with Cuba, including the release of 3 Cuban spies, was made possible by Obama after the Senate elections. However, some of his other steps to improve this relationship ultimately did not see the light of day due to conservative Republican senators. He has worked in the public welfare of free college education and lower taxes for the middle class in his own way. He has warned that he will use his special presidential powers if there is a possibility of repealing some of the laws he has introduced due to Republican dominance in both houses of Congress and the Senate. In a speech he said, "We cannot put our families at risk by repealing health insurance, or by repealing new laws imposed on Wall Street, or by resuming our old fight against immigration. There is still work to be done to fix a broken state system. And if anyone wants to do these things, and any such bill comes to my desk, I will certainly exercise my veto power." In 2015, the Obama administration won 2 major victories from the United States Supreme Court. Court rules to keep tax subsidies for health insurance covered under Obamacare. Without this tax benefit, purchasing health insurance would be a huge cost issue for billions of Americans. In 2015, Obama announced that his administration had agreed with Iran, after long negotiations, to keep its nuclear program at a peaceful level and reduce its uranium stockpile to a much lower level than before. He made this possible by promising to ease sanctions on Iran, open their frozen bank accounts, and increase oil sales. As the Obama administration rushed Congress to ratify the deal, Obama visited Kenya, his father's country, for the first time since becoming president. There he partook of supper with 36 of his relatives, some of whom he had met for the first time at the service. He proudly told them, "I am proud to be the first American president to visit Kenya. And of course I am the first Kenyan-American president of America." Clean Power Plan. In August 2015, the Obama administration announced the Clean Power Plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. For the first time in U.S. history, coal-fired power projects are set to set pollution levels to curb carbon pollution. Obama called it the biggest step America has taken in history to combat global climate change. The plan calls for strict directives from the Environmental Protection Agency that current power plants reduce their carbon dioxide emissions by 32% by 2030 and increase the use of wind and solar energy for power generation. A further legislative directive was issued under the scheme, requiring each state to submit its own initial plan for reducing carbon emissions by 2016 and final plan by 2018. However, several critics opposed Obama's move. One of them was Kentucky Senator and Republican leader Mitch McConnell. He sent letters to every state authority forbidding them to obey the law. States and private companies that depend on coal-fired power for their finances are also expected to begin legal challenges to Obama's action. But despite this opposition, Barack Obama remains steadfast in his position on climate change. In a speech given at the White House, he said, "We have heard these lame arguments before. They have been proven wrong every time." He added, "We are the first generation to see the effects of climate change firsthand, and the last generation to do something about it." Paris Agreement. In November 2015, at the climate change conference held in Paris, Obama admitted in front of representatives of nearly 200 countries that the United States is currently the second largest climate polluter in the world. Therefore, doing something about it is one of their main responsibilities. Obama later signed the Paris Climate Agreement, which required all participating countries to commit to reducing their greenhouse gas emissions as well as research and development of alternative fuels. He announced that by 2030, the United States would reduce its environmental pollution levels by 25%. In September 2016, China and the United States, two of the world's largest carbon producers, announced their formal support for the Paris Agreement. A month later, on October 5, 2016, the United Nations announced that a sufficient number of countries had expressed their support for the Paris Agreement, and the implementation of this agreement will start from November 8, 2016. In this context, Obama said from the Rose Garden of the White House, "Today the world saw that special moment. And if we live up to the commitments made in the Paris Agreement, history may remember this moment as the beginning of a new era for the world." He added, "America can lead the world in this work. That was a big reason why I wanted to sit in this office. It's probably the only chance we, the human race, have to save the planet." However, in June 2017, Obama's successor, Donald Trump, withdrew the United States from the Paris Agreement. In the wake of Trump's move, Obama said, "Countries that are united with the Paris Agreement will benefit from the newly created jobs and industries. I still believe the United States should lead this good work. But the American government, and this administration of America, without those who have joined hands with those few, non-signatory, countries to reject a future, our states, our cities and our institutions will step up and do more than I plan to have in our possession. Alone will lead the way to save the planet." Firearms control. Entering his final year as President of the United States, in January 2016, Obama held a press conference to announce several directives on gun control. With tears in his eyes, he called on Congress and gun control advocates to help him make his country a safer country, citing the 2012 gunman's brutal attack on children at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Obama's initiatives included greater scrutiny of the private lives of gun buyers, stricter enforcement of firearms laws, and rules to collect more information on the mental health of gun buyers and dealers. It faced strong opposition from several Republican and Democratic members, as well as some pro-gun groups such as the NRA. But a 2015 poll found a majority of Americans favor stricter laws on firearms sales. Obama gave his last State of the Union address on January 12, 2016, shortly after a press conference on firearms. Barack Obama visited Cuba on March 20, 2016, becoming the first U.S. president since 1928. His wife Michelle and two daughters accompanied him on this three-day visit. Obama's visit was aimed at creating a basis for greater coexistence between the two countries. The process began in 2014 when Cuban President Raúl Castro and Obama announced the beginning of a process to end the cooling of relations between the two countries since 1961. Farewell address. Before leaving the White House on January 19, 2017, he traveled to his hometown of Chicago on January 10 to bid farewell. At one point in a long speech, reflecting on his achievements in 8 years, the first black president of the United States said, "If I had told you 8 years ago that America would turn around the Great Depression, revive our machine industry, and set the precedent for the greatest job creation in our history. If I told you we would start a new chapter in relations with the people of Cuba, stop Iran's nuclear weapons program without firing a shot, terminate the alleged mastermind of 9/11, if I told you we would win marriage equality and health for 2 million citizens explaining insurance rights, if I had told you all this 8 years ago, you might have said our ambitions were a little too high. But we did it all. You have done all this. You have changed everything. Because of your hope, and because of you, America is, in almost every way, a better, stronger country than when we began." At the end of the speech he said, "I will not stop here. To be honest, I will stay here, with you, as a citizen for the rest of my days. But for now, for those of you who are young in age or at heart, I have one last wish for you as president, the same wish I made when you voted for me 8 years ago. I beg you to believe. I'm not asking you to believe in my power to bring about change, I'm asking you to believe in yourself." In his last press conference as president at the White House, he said, "I have faith in this country. I have faith in the American people. I believe there is more good in people than bad. I believe tragic events will happen. But even though evil exists in the world, at the end of the day, if we work hard and stay true to the truth, the world will become a better place every moment. And in the young people I've worked with, I've seen that goodness. I am very proud of him. And I am not staging a drama. I really believe this. It's true that I say a lot more crap behind closed doors than in public. I get angry or frustrated, sometimes, like everyone else, but deep down I believe we'll be fine. We just have to keep fighting for it, and we have to work hard and not leave everything in the hands of the blind, and I know you, the youth, will help us achieve that. On January 19, 2017, one of the most popular and successful presidents in the history of the United States, Barack Obama, served in the White House for the last time. Here are some interesting facts from Barack Obama's biography. When Obama was just a 12-year-old boy, his mother saw his son's talent and told a friend that when he grew up, he might one day become the President of the United States. Barack Obama wrote several poems about falling in love with a girl at a young age. The word Barack in Swahili means blessed one. During his stay in Indonesia, he had a pet chimpanzee named Tata. In high school, he was nicknamed the O-Bomber for his basketball prowess. Obama is a huge fan of comic books. He also read all Harry Potter books. He still collects Spider-Man and Conan the Barbarian comic books. While living in Indonesia, he tasted exotic foods like dog meat, snake meat and grasshopper fritters. His childhood nickname was Barry. Only after entering university was he called by his full name.